Forsooth, King Solomon loved burningly many alien women, and the daughter of Pharaoh, and women of Moab, and Ammonites, and Idumeans, and Sidonians, and Hittites, of the folks which the Lord had said to the sons of Israel, Ye shall not enter to those folks, neither any of them shall enter to you, for most certainly they shall turn away your hearts, that ye follow the gods of them. So King Solomon was coupled to these women by most burning love, and wives as queens were 700 to him, and 300 secondary wives, and the women turned away his heart. And when he was then old, his heart was beshrewed by women, that he pursued alien gods, and his heart was not perfect with his Lord God, as the heart of David his father was perfect. But Solomon worshipped Astarte, the goddess of Sidonians, and Chemosh, the god of Moabites, and Moloch, the idol of Ammonites. And Solomon did that pleased not before the Lord, and he fulfilled not that he pursued the Lord, as David his father. Then Solomon builded a temple to Chemosh, the idol of Moab, in the hill which is against Jerusalem, and to Moloch, the idol of the sons of Ammon. And by this manner he did to all his alien wives, the which burnt incenses and offered to their gods. Therefore the Lord was wroth to Solomon, for his soul was turned away from the Lord God of Israel, that appeared to him the second time, and commanded of this word, that he should not pursue alien gods, and he kept not those things which the Lord commanded to him. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, For thou hadst this thing with thee, and keптest not my covenant and my behest, which I commanded to thee, I shall break, and I shall part thy realm, and I shall give it to thy servant. Nevertheless I shall not do it in thy days, for David thy father. I shall cut it from the hand of thy son. Neither I shall do away all the realm, but I shall give one lineage to thy son for David my servant, and for Jerusalem which I chose. Forsooth the Lord raised to Solomon an adversary, Hadad the Idumean, of the king's seed, that was in Edom. For when David was in Idumea, and Joab, the prince of his chivalry, had gone up to bury them that were slain, and he had slain each male kind in Idumea, for Joab and all Israel dwelt there by 6 months, till they had killed each male kind in Idumea. Hadad himself fled, and some men of Idumea, of the servants of his father with him, that he should enter into Egypt. Soothly Hadad was a little child. And when they had risen from Midian, they came into Paran, and they took with them men of Paran, and entered into Egypt to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Pharaoh gave an house to him, and ordered to him meats, and assigned to him land. And Hadad found grace before Pharaoh greatly, insomuch that Pharaoh gave to him a wife, the sister of his wife, that is, the sister of the queen, the sister of Tahpenes. And the sister of Tahpenes engendered to him a son, Genubath. And Tahpenes nursed him in the house of Pharaoh. And Genubath dwelled before Pharaoh with the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad had heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab, the prince of chivalry, was dead, he said to Pharaoh, Suffer thou me, that I go into my land. And Pharaoh said to him, And of what thing hast thou need of me, that thou seekest to go to thy land? And he answered, Of nothing, but I beseech thee, that thou deliver me, or let me go. And God raised up another adversary to Solomon, Rezon, the son of Eladah, that fled Hadadezer, king of Zobah, his lord, and gathered men against him, and was made the prince of thieves, when David killed them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus and dwelled there, and they made him king in Damascus. And he was an adversary of Israel in all the days of Solomon. And this is besides the evil of Hadad, and his hatred against Israel, and he reigned in Syria. Also Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, of Ephraim of Zeradah, the servant of Solomon, of which Jeroboam, a woman widow, Zeruiah by name, was his mother. He also raised his hand against the king, and this was cause of his rebelty against the king. For Solomon builded the Millo, and made even the swallow of the city of David his father. Forsooth Jeroboam was a mighty man and strong, and Solomon saw the young waxing man to be of good kindred, and witting in things to be done. And Solomon made him prefect, either sovereign, upon the tributes of all the house of Joseph. Therefore it was done in that time that Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, and Ahijah of Shiloh, a prophet, covered with a new mantle, found him in the way, and they twain were alone in the field. And Ahijah took his new mantle, with which he was covered, and he cut it into 12 parts, and said to Jeroboam, Take to thee 10 cuttings of the mantle, for the Lord God of Israel saith these things. Lo, I shall cut the realm from the hand of Solomon, and I shall give to thee 10 lineages, but 1 lineage shall dwell to him for David, my servant, and for Jerusalem, the city which I chose of all the lineages of Israel. This cutting of the realm shall be, for Solomon forsook me, and worshipped Astarte, the goddess of Sidonians, and Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Moloch, the god of the sons of Ammon, and went not in my ways, that he did right wiseness before me, and my behest and my dooms, as David his father did. And I shall not take away all the realm from his hand, but I shall put him duke in all the days of his life. For David my servant, whom I chose, which kept my behest and my commandments. Soothly, I shall take away the realm from the hand of his son, and I shall give 10 lineages to thee. Forsooth, I shall give 1 lineage to his son, that a lantern dwell to David my servant in all days before me in Jerusalem, the city which I chose, that my name should be there. Forsooth, I shall take thee, and thou shalt reign on all things which thy soul desireth, and thou shalt be king upon Israel. Therefore, if thou shalt hear all things which I shall command to thee, and if thou shalt go in my ways, and if thou shalt do that is rightful before me, and if thou shalt keep my commandments and my behest, as David my servant did, I shall be with thee, and I shall build a faithful house to thee, as I builded an house to David, and I shall give Israel to thee, and I shall torment the seed of David on this thing, nevertheless, not in all days. Therefore Solomon would slay Jeroboam, which rose, and fled into Egypt, to Shishak, king of Egypt, and he was in Egypt unto the death of Solomon. Forsooth the residue of the words of Solomon, and all things which he did, and his wisdom, lo, all those things be written in the book of the words of days of Solomon. And the days in which Solomon reigned in Jerusalem upon all Israel be 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned for him.